Hey, Sue, I want to welcome you to Necessity versus Commodity. You and I have been chatting for a while to get you to come on. And just to kind of introduce you real quick, you and I met. You were actually a client for somebody that I worked with before. I actually enrolled you into a program. You and I connected really quickly. I think within probably the first couple of weeks, you and I were meeting for 30 minutes, maybe 60 minutes. I'd coach you on sales. I would, we were kind of talking about different things of business because you're a solopreneur now, but really like your history, like you sold your first business back in 2000. So we were talking 23 years ago. Now you've been basically coaching people recently when it comes down to master class, and you've been doing that very successfully for quite some time. Now in the market today, the big thing that I try to, working with somebody, or you and I've had enough discussions on them about, is how do you brand yourself? How do you get yourself to stand out amongst others? How are you become a necessity versus just a commodity, just everybody else out there? And master classes, you and I both have seen that, where it was master class, that was 5, 6, 10 years ago, was a huge marketing tool. Then it kind of moved to webinars. Now it's kind of VSLs, and there's all these different terms. Now the master class, I don't prefer, I guess I don't like the term master class for the way a lot of people perceive it, for actually what you do, which is you're teaching people to use a tool to basically sell one to many very powerfully, very successfully. And just like marketing process, a sales process, you have to have that type of process dialed in to be really successful. It's kind of like speaking or selling on stage, which essentially you're teaching someone that skill too. So let's start with kind of like masterclass and what you do.
Sure, well, you mentioned 23 years, and yeah, it has been that long. And really, for the past 23 years, my whole intention is helping small business owners accelerate the path to their success. And, when I think of my own path of success, is I've always done speaking to get clients. And so whether it was back in the day, I used to rent a hotel room, put 300 people in it and do a presentation, and that would get me clients, or I'd get guest speaking gigs with the chambers and all sorts of different associations and networking groups. And so that's always been, to me, a leverage way to get business. When you're standing in front of a whole room full of people, you get notoriety, you get that credible, that go-to expert status, you get visibility and credibility, and of course, lead gen. I mean, every time I did an event, I would add 200 people to my list, and ultimately we'd get clients. And so that's really the benefit of, this virtual or live speaking. Back in the day, it was mostly live. But now in today's world, we have all this beautiful technology that helps us to, go global. And certainly after the pandemic, well, we really had to go global. And so that opened up the door even more so, because people might have been a little hesitant in the past to sit on a Zoom call, but that just became a natural way of business and a way of life. So, when we think about whether we call it a webinar or a masterclass, and, really back in the day, we used to be on phones. We did the bridge line thing, and we had like 100 people on a phone bridge line. That's where it all started. And then we got the, technology caught up, and we had the chance to use PowerPoint slides, and they're calling them webinars. And then one day, I remember it was probably about 2008 or so, I had an email from someone promoting their masterclass webinar, and I thought, well, what the hell is that? And that was kind of where the fork in the road began to split. Some people picked up on the term masterclass. I started to use the word masterclass, and I think, the marketplace kind of forked off at that part. And I think a lot of people in the past might have thought that webinars are meant to sell, because you get all those online webinar pitchy things. Yeah. And they are really quite literally, I call it a pitch fest. They're meant, they're really selling, hard selling, as masterclasses were more about teaching or training. But, I don't really think it matters what you call it. From my point of view, they're conversion events. And you mentioned the one-to-many sales process. And that's really what it is. It is just an opportunity, whether it's virtual or live, to get in front of a large audience and to give value. I don't believe in just straight on pitching the whole way through. I do believe in adding value. People need to leave with some value that they've gotten from your presentation. Because if they just get sold to the whole time, like from my point of view, I don't trust you, I don't like you, I'm not going to buy from you. I don't want to just be pitched. I come because I want to learn something. And I think that when we can teach something in our presentations, the audience then sees us as that credible expert. They've gotten something of value, that reciprocity kicks in. They've gotten something, so they're more interested in what's next. But it's really all about finding the right balance of your content when you do one of these presentations. So it doesn't matter what you call it. And actually, some of my clients, we've named it differently. One client, we call them Zoom, we call them Pro Talks, or a Zoom session or Zoom call. You can name it whatever you want. Think about
I like the Pro Talk. That's actually a pretty good spin. It's kind of like your TED Talk, right?
Yeah.
And I think you brought up something really important there is whether you call it a masterclass or a webinar, right? Like when the perfect webinar first came out, it was 2.5 hours long. Masterclass is 2 hours, or your 5-day masterclass challenge, come up 2 hours every day for 5 days straight. I don't care what model you're using, but the most impactful thing that you said there is a lot of them are just a pitch fest. And COVID definitely changed the game because so many people were sitting at home. They were watching all these master classes, all these webinars, and they realized I'm not getting any information from this, right? Like it's just general information to just get me to book a call so someone can sell me something. And I don't even know what I'm buying. And, when I launched my first webinar, that was very much the case. People were showing up. They were showing up for all the wrong reasons, not knowing what I had, surprised what I was offering, price point, program, everything. That's the important thing of what you do. Like you said, it's one to many selling. And, you going back to talking about being on stage, that's actually becoming popular again.
Yeah.
And that was something that COVID changed too, right? Like now all of a sudden people, and I get things in the mail all the time from insurance agents, real estate agents, local businesses. Hey, we're renting out this space. Come have dinner on us. Blah, 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 blah. It's this presentation. Now, if I go to that presentation and it's just pitching me the whole time, yuck, gross. But like insurance agents, when they do that, they're actually giving real information.
Mm-hmm.
They're giving real value. So you can actually go, oh, I learned something about insurance in my policy. I'm going to go check mine. Oh, geez, you go back and now you're reaching back out to somebody again. And I think so many people miss this in this day and age, the mass market across the world, or, hey, we're targeting the United States for, one-to-many conversion events. We're going to have a really generic, just so we get a bunch of people in to reach out. That's not very successful. Same thing. If someone is doing an event like what you're going to help them do, whether you have 5 people there or 500 people, the end result's going to matter on the process through that. So when you're helping somebody through that process, what's unique about that process? So the person's not just pitching them, you're actually providing value, and you have a structure that's leading them to. How do you do that with a client?
Well, it's interesting because when you brought up some good things too, when we're talking about this, is that it is a conversion event. And I think what happens is a lot of people get frustrated because they either, as a presenter, you either go the pitch fest side of it, and whether that works or not, I guess it depends on how good you are at pitching and what your offer structure is like. Or the flip side of it, a lot of people will do a masterclass and they will go to the teaching side of it and they become over deliverers. And I think that that's one of the biggest killers or crushers, and not in a good way. It tanks your conversion rates because if you give too much information, you overfeed your audience. They go away feeling overwhelmed. They might love you in that moment. You'll get tons of great testimonials and, oh, we loved it. It was a great presentation. However, a couple of weeks later, they haven't implemented anything. They haven't bought from you, and they're looking back and saying, well, that was useless. I got nothing out of it. And so you're really doing yourself a disservice and doing the audience a disservice because it doesn't move anyone forward. So when I think about a masterclass, and I kind of go with that word, and it doesn't, once again, as I said, I don't really care what we call it, but that's my vernacular. But when we think of a masterclass, I look at it as not a teaching event, it's a sales event. And now, wait a minute, you're probably going, wait a minute, so you said don't pitch. Yeah, it's a selling event, not a pitching event.
Yep.
But nor is it a teaching event. And yes, you end up doing all of those things. So we have to, people ask, like, how do I structure my master classes so they convert better? And that's really what I'm all about, is how do we increase our conversion rates on the masterclass? And so we have to look at it as a group sales call. And when we start looking at the masterclass as a group sales call, we begin to see how we can parody a lot of what we do in a sales conversation in a group environment on your masterclass. And so that's really kind of where I kick off with people, is like helping them think through that and really seeing that it's not really a teaching event, it's not really a pitching event, it's a sales event. So how can we sell en masse that gives value, that educates and informs and moves the audience through a process that they want to take the next step with us?
Yeah, and you bringing up that key component there of the sales event, like, it's people, if people are listening, they have their own online business, or maybe they're a sales rep, maybe they have a brick and mortar business, whatever it may be, they're running ads. You paid someone to help you structure those ads to be successful. You're running the ads to make sure it's reached the right people, to make sure that you can sell a product. Lots of times that's going to a sales call with a sales professional, and then I'm on the phone talking with that person, going through my process to get them to make the most optimal, best decision. Hey, is this a good fit for you or not? And why is that? So they can move forward with that process. Those are two different processes you're essentially combining into one.
Well,
Most businesses are trying to do both, and they're failing at one or the other or both.
true.
That's where, like, what you do is so amazing, because now you're actually combining that into the same 30-minute, 45-minute, 60-minute type of process, that you're solving that both of those problems in one instant. It's a very, very hard skill to do.
Well, it's kind of cool. I mean, I get real excited about this. Obviously, I kind of can geek out on it. But, in a sales conversation, we all know it's about the gap.
Yeah.
Right. We have to focus on that gap. We have to uncover it. We have to push on the pain. We have to talk about the consequences. We do that naturally in a sales conversation. But here's the thing, is if you want to sell on a masterclass, it's all about the gap. And so that's the whole piece of it, is you want to provide the training, and that the training piece of it is almost like your discovery in a sales conversation, where you're actually, talking about them and their problems and their issues. Well, kind of the training piece kind of does that, but we have to make sure that we always focus on the gap, that we leave that gap open and open it even wider, because that's what we do in a masterclass. Is when we do that and we keep highlighting the gap and we keep talking about where the person is and where they could go, our offer, what we're selling, is the bridge to get them there. And so when we structure our masterclass with that in mind, and we really focus on the gap and widening the gap through our content, through our stories, through pre-selling objections as we're telling our stories, and the testimonial side of it all, that's what really gets people to buy. That's my magic sauce. And I know it sounds like kind of crazy simple maybe, but that really is the nuanced piece of how the difference between doing a masterclass that teaches. Those are easy. All of us are experts with what we know and do. We can stand up and teach really simply, but they don't convert. So to make them convert, it's about the gap. It's about how we position our content, and that we are selling from the very get-go, from our opening introduction. How we position the opening is really how we close more at the end. Yeah. So there's steps all the way through. It isn't like we just teach and then pitch. It's really the nuance of how we're positioning the audience and our content and widening the gap all the way through. So when we go to make our offer, the audience is like, they're ready. I mean, I had one of my clients, Jasmine, she was so amazed on one of her first master classes that, she couldn't get over. People were asking for the offer before she even got there. And it was because she had done such a good job of giving information and keeping that gap and showing that gap. But people are going, they want it. How do I get there? How can I buy it from you? What's the link? And she was just overwhelmed by that. And actually, the success story with her, Scott, was that she made more in that one masterclass than she had in her best month in business ever.
That's amazing. And it's, it a lot of people don't really understand like truly how amazing that actually is. Like, oh, well, yeah, if you get all 10 sales at one, well, if you can't perform that to even get people there, number one, to show up, which you help people with as well. And then number two, actually get those people to say yes, it's all for naught. And people try it all the time and wonder why they're not being successful. And it's because just like everything else, there's a process to it. And I think you brought up something really unique there. You know, it is about the gap, right? Like on a sales process, like, why do you want to do this? Like, people don't just join a program, pay for a business, buy a product without some sort of emotional reason. And that really is a gap, right? Like, whether it's a coach purse or a $50,000 business mastermind, whatever it may be, people have an emotional tangible part of that. Then looking at the logical aspect. Now, the other unique part that you need to do, and I think you brought something up, and I hope nobody missed it, but to provide enough value, but not too much.
Yeah.
And I see that happen all the time, where I will see like these 2-hour master class event. We're going live, or like a 3-day challenge, 5-day challenge, and there's so much information. And let me give you an example. There was somebody that I follow, and they just started doing a 5-day a 5-day challenge. They wrapped it up last week. Each day, Monday through Friday, was like 2 hours, and then a bonus on Saturday. Now, that's awesome. And there was so much. I didn't go through it. I know what they're providing through that, but and in their group after each one, they're, hey, what did you learn? Here's your homework. Here's this, here's that. And so they had certain steps through that. And so, like, building the gap as an example, hey, if you don't solve this now, let's look back at the past year. You not being able to do this, how much has it cost you? And so, and then people are posting, oh my gosh, the fact that I don't know how to do this has cost me probably $200,000 in the past 12 months. Right? So you're building the gap. Now, the one thing sometimes I see is there's too much information to where people feel like, oh, well, I don't need to actually hire this person anymore. They gave me all this information. And if we're all being honest, I know, like you said, hey, that's my secret sauce. Your secret sauce is actually you and your brain.
Of course. Yeah.
Right.
True.
And because a lot, whether it's sales, I can go look online and I can learn how to do that for free. I can buy books, learn how to do that for free. I can go watch free content. I can learn how to do pretty much anything. That's the beautiful thing about the planet we live on today. We want to learn how to do something, we can go do it. They can't replace your brain, your experience, what you know works, the process, and somebody working through. And it's one of the things that's so underutilized nowadays is actually when I see a lot of these companies out there that they're just going through modules. The beautiful thing with you're working with people one-on-one, you're working in group settings, there's homework, this needs to be sent to me. You're walking them through the process step by step, and having a second pair of eyes on this type of scenario of someone's a master like you that can be like, oh, well, I know how to do this because of 40 years of experience. That's priceless. It's unquantifiable. And that's where I see a lot of people fail, is all the different layers you have to do. If just on their own, they have to be done right. You're putting multiple layers in here and showing them how to do all of them right to have that massive effect. That's how you have a client where, hey, I launched this masterclass. In one day, I beat my best month ever. And they were a successful business owner, right? This is someone brand new. When you see a client first start off, do they really know what they're getting into when they start working with you? Or are they really surprised at how deep, maybe how easy it is, or how technical it is, or like, oh my gosh, I didn't even think about that. You know, what are some of the experiences they have in that first couple of days, maybe first week working with you?
Oh, I have to chuckle to myself because I think I think most are pretty surprised at how intense working with me is. You and I have chatted about this, where like I really stand for my clients' success. And actually, I had one of my clients said to me in a testimonial to me, she goes, I think you care more about my success than I do.
Yeah.
And I was like going, oh, I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but I do. And so, yeah, I'm all in when I work with clients privately one-on-one. That's really important to me. And actually, in every group I've had, and over the last 23 years, my gosh, I've had lots of different group programs on always marketing and sales, but different components of it. And I've always added some personal one-on-one time with me, because I think that that's how I can support my group the best. I've never just done a course that they just buy it and go off on their own without some interaction. And even if I had a course, there would be office hours or something like that, so they have to have access to me. That's just really important to me. It's one of my values in business, is that I don't want you just to get information. I want you to implement it and to learn and grow through it. And information is so free in today's world. We can Google anything and find tons of information on it in seconds. But the thing is, if we can't consume that information and implement it, it's kind of pointless. It's kind of useless. And I think so often it's easy to fall into that seductive trap of getting more and more and more information. And even like when it comes to marketing our business, you don't need to have a podcast and do DMs and networking, all these things. You just need to kind of find that fit for you and your business and your clients, because it has to go all the way through. What marketing strategy works best to attract your perfect clients, and also what marketing strategy is something that you're willing to do. Like DM marketing is never going to be me. It might work fabulous for lots of coaches, but it's never going to be me. And so, you have to make sure there's that alignment. And when we get that alignment, then just go all in on one. But I think people get, sidetracked with all the different options out there that they can market themselves. And, something becomes trendy, podcasts are trendy. So everyone wants to start a podcast. And I honestly well, why? Like, why? It doesn't make sense to me. It's like, just host one masterclass every 4 to 6 weeks. You can fill all your courses, programs, and services. And that's really all you need to do. It's rinse and repeat. And that's the piece that I think a lot of people are missing. And, I'm not slamming podcasts. So you can go do a podcast,
Well, I
and just
hope
go
not.
do
You're
that
on
on
mine right
weekends.
now.
I know. I'm not slamming them, but I mean, like, to go launch a podcast, that's a lot of work,
Yep, it is.
or whether you want to go to these networking, online networking things, or, in the old days, I used to teach people how to network in the first 10 years of my business in the early 2000s, when everyone was suddenly an entrepreneur, home-based business owner. I used to teach people how to network, and, you have to dress up, show up, park, and go. It's like, that's a laborsome. Like, there's lots of things you can do to email marketing. I mean, the list is endless in the sense of how to market yourself. Social media marketing, hours of writing content, but people are just jumping all over the place. And I'm kind of like, pick one, go deep, make it work, and, squeeze the lemon and get all the juice out of it that you can.
Well, and here's one, thing that I love about what you do with people. Like you said, there's a million different ways of doing it. I get 10 cold DMs every single day from people.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's, hey, I help coaches get to their first 10,000 a month. Well, obviously you never looked at my stuff.
Exactly.
I sell crypto. Why would you, we get these all the time. Lots of times, if I do associate with that to somebody, that's somebody I normally unfriend, I disconnect from. I don't want anything to do with them, right? Like, I don't agree with that method. Some people, like you said, are very, very successful with it. Now, when you're looking at building your business, I've hired some people in the past, I've worked with some people in the past who are like, all you need to do is run ads.
Yeah.
All you need to do is organic. All you need to do is get email lists. All you need to do is bring in a VA setter and just have them mass blast everybody out there. The all or nothing thing is ridiculous to me, because I think a successful business owner nowadays, you need multiple streams coming in, right? Because if I'm running ads and Mark Zuckerberg says, hey, you're done, well, I'm done. There goes my business. Hey, if I have everything organic and my page on TikTok gets shut down, there goes all my organic, right? Now, what you're teaching somebody is something they can use in multiple ways, because most owners out there, they actually have no idea actually how to present what they do and sell it to an audience without paying somebody to go do it for them. And it's something that I think is so powerful about the skill that you're giving somebody, is it is a conversion event. It's selling one to many. That's what you're doing on social media every single day. And to your point of, hey, if once a month that you're doing a live 1 hour sales event, you can set up your whole business. But then the other days you're online. So you having the skill to be able to do that quicker, shorter, to get people to even show up, to make those bigger. It really is a snowball effect that's very, very powerful with very limited amount of work, hour wise. And I think that's a game changer for any business owner out there. You know, when you've worked with a business owner and they've come in and you give them that skill, and the first event, maybe it only gets 50% of what they wanted, but then all of a sudden that second event is like 5 times what they were expecting. Like, how do you see this skill actually when you watch your clients over the next 6 months, or you've seen them 3 years down the road? How has it transformed their business and taken it from this level and really increase the overall power of what they're doing on social media?
Well, it's interesting because I think it should be a rinse and repeat and tweak, because the first time out, you market the best you can and you do the best presentation you can and you learn from it. And actually a lot of my clients come to me, they've been out there, they've been doing master classes or webinars for a couple of years now. And it's like, my conversions just aren't what they should be or what they want them to be.
Yeah.
So I do, like I call a masterclass audit review, where they don't necessarily need the whole training because they're obviously doing them, but I will watch one of their master classes, and then based on that, I'll give them customized feedback. I had that done. I did that with Debbie actually, and she had been doing 5-day. We talked about 5-day challenges. I'm not really a fan of them. They're very labor intensive. 5-day challenge, but landed up to being like there was a bonus day and there's this day and that day, and they landed up being like nine hours of presentation. And I'm like going, you can do that in an hour, 90 minutes. Like, we can bring it down. You're just overfeeding your audience. And so, what we did is we really shortened it down. And then shortening it down, it was really cool because she made as much money. I think she made a little bit more even by having it in a fraction of the time, actually not half the time, like a fifth of the time. And it's so much better that way. And that does allow you to have that presence, and it does allow you to spend more time in actually using the social media. Like, I think that's, when I think about doing an event, it's like 2 weeks to promote it. And that's one of the things I teach is my social media marketing, my lightning launch system. It is actually how to I don't want to say pitch, but how to invite people to come to your masterclass, how to get signups, because you can have the best masterclass, but if you don't have people signing up, you obviously are not going to do so well. So it's what to do with the social media marketing, and whether you use Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever, it doesn't really matter. You just have to tweak it to fit the platform. So we do use social media to market it for the first 2 weeks. We also do emails, so whatever someone has in their toolbox, we'll lean into that and grab that tool and use it. If they don't have it, then it's something we might build. And as clients repeat their master classes, each time you kind of finesse it a little bit more and finesse it a little bit more. And, and until eventually, it's like, okay, now I'm ready to have joint venture partners. And that's when it can really, really take off, is once you've done a couple times and you have something that's converting and you begin to write the emails, and you already have the emails from the last one. So you can just kind of tweak them, rinse and repeat. So then you can add on to it and add on to it. And so different marketing strategies can easily come into play in synchronicity with your masterclass as you go over time. And of course, as you go over time, we expect that your results will improve over time. It's always about tweaking and editing.
100%. And that's how you become successful. I mean, if you're running ads too, right? You're always testing new things out. In business, if you're not learning, you're not growing. And so every single time you do it, you should be getting data from it. Now, I think you brought up something really kind of unique piece there of saying, hey, this client was doing the 5-day challenge. It was 9 hours worth of her live. Now, all the back end stuff to just get prepared for that,
Yeah,
so
the
much work, it's
pop-up
insane.
Facebook group, all those
Oh,
emails. I'm like,
there is so much there. People have no idea, right? And it's why that's why very few people do it. Now, the other thing is, like you said, 9 hours. So I've been in some of those too, where they're 3 days, 5 days. Each one is like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And I've been in some where it's like the first day, and I'll send a message and be like, so how much is your program?
yeah,
That's on day 3 or day 5. That's the last day we go over all that.
yeah.
I'm asking right now because I'm really thinking, do I want to show up tomorrow? Number one, or am I ready to buy? Right? Like, it's those type of things. Now, psychologically, I get it. Hey, you don't tell someone the price because they don't understand the value of it. But the other thing is, if your process is drug out that long, you have to think about all the things that happen during those 5 days in someone's life. Do you really think they can show up every single night from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. when they have a business, when they have a family, they have all these things going on? You're asking for a huge commitment. Now, if they miss one thing, I'm a big believer that a confused buyer never buys.
Totally. I mean, that's just a rule of life.
Yep. And so if you have 9 hours over 3 to 5 days, how confused is everyone by the time you actually pitch it?
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to make a good positive choice there. And so the fact that you're taking that time, condensing it, and hey, we're condensing this to 45 minutes or maybe 90.
Yep.
And putting in these layers to speed the process up, get instant results rather than having things drag out for a whole week. I mean, it's just amazing.
Well, the thing too is I find is, once again, in all marketing, we always have to look at our ideal prospects. And so, if I think of a challenge, and I'm not against them, I know some people do huge dollars on them, like they are successful, but we have to look at our target market. And it's the time money issue. And I think the thing is, when you don't have much money, you have lots of time. And so, and vice versa, when you have lots of money, you have less time, you value the time. So I think the thing is, if you are selling something to an entry level, person, they have lots of time, no money, they'll come for the free for 5 days. They'll want that because,
Yeah.
and they'll show up for it. I and you, like, for example, I'm not showing up. I can't even get 2 days in a row, let alone
Yeah.
5,
Correct.
that I want to attend. I honestly, my attention span is not there. If anything, I mean, even, I might watch the replay on double speed. That's the only way I'll do it. But I just don't have the desire to sit through that much time. So we have to look at our ideal client and say, well, who are you marketing to, and is it the right fit for them? That's always a consideration.
And it's a big one, right? Like,
Mhm.
who you're speaking to is, and where they're at in their life, where they're at in their buying decision, right? You can put someone in about 5 different categories for a buyer, from someone that has a problem, but they're unaware of it, someone that has the problem, they don't know there's a solution, to all the way through to where the last is, they have a problem, they're trying to solve it, and they're looking for someone just like you. Like, that's who you're trying to market. And like you said, some of these that I have been in before, I joined them just to see what it was like, right? And going, okay, well, this makes total sense. If you're going, hey, are you a brand new business owner, or actually you an employee, you're thinking about possibly starting a business? Hey, we're going through this 5-day challenge. Day 1, we're going to talk about finding the skill that you have, then how to build a program, and you're going through step by step. That can be a really good thing for somebody like that, right? And on the back end going, hey, but the other thing is, you could still do that in 90 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, I totally feel that way. I mean, that's what we did with Debbie and a few of my other clients. It's like, just shorten the time, like, just, you can build relationship and rapport, credibility, give value, and make an offer in that short period of time.
Yeah.
But you can't do it if you're over delivering on content, or if you're pitching too much. I mean, those are the two biggest problems. I think people either over deliver, we already talked about that, but too much content, or not enough content. So I don't know really who you are. I don't trust you. I don't like you. You got me here under false pretenses that you're going to teach me something and you didn't. So the content is the killing piece of it. But even if you have the right balance of content, that's also, is it the right content that aligns with your offer? I mean, that's what I'm, that's one of the things I'm really hot about, because a lot of times, and I've done this, I mean, I can only tell you these things because I've lived them myself, Scott, unfortunately. Where I'm like going, oh, I'm going to do masterclass about this because I like that topic and I think it's a good topic, but I do it, the audience likes it, they think it's great, but it doesn't build the bridge to my offer. So there's my offer and they're not taking it because it didn't make sense. It's almost like oh, I think you're the one who said, we in a conversation said this about pickleball. It's a hot thing these days.
Yep.
And you invite people to come and learn about pickleball and they all come for it. But then at the end, you're trying to sell a how to do tennis program. You got the wrong audience. So part of the whole marketing of getting conversions is making sure that there's alignment, that you're marketing to the right audience with the right topic, with the right offer. That has to be congruent. If it's not, another opportunity to tank your conversion rate. So I could probably give you a dozen more ways that you can, how you can tank conversions and what to do instead that's going to help you increase it. And that's really what I'm all about, is really the nuances about how to improve your conversion rates, because it's not just about doing a masterclass. If we're going to invest our time doing it, we want the result of it. And yes, we'll get leads, and yes, we'll get notoriety and visibility and credibility and all the rest of that. But ultimately, we want those clients. And so that's what the conversion is all about, is how can we position our whole masterclass, our whole marketing to it, that's going to get us those conversions and those dollars in the bank account.
Yeah. One of the things I love about your process, so you work with people depending on what they really need. So it could be someone's coming to you and it's just one-on-one. You also have an intensive course also. And I love intensives because it's shortening everything up. It's really rapid focused, laser focused, get it done, get feedback, get it done, get it feedback, get it done, perfect it, feedback, done, launch, right? And I love the fact that you do that multiple ways with people. It's kind of the same way if I'm working with someone, of me doing some coaching with you. It's one-on-one because it's very specific to you. We've gone through things from sales to just fulfillment to business, just had those conversations, like you said, just a second piece of eyes. And that's a huge benefit for a lot of people. Now, when you're working with people and you're looking at the one-on-one or the intensive, can you break those down a little bit? Like when you're looking for a type of individual. So if I was reaching out to you, would the intensive make more sense? Would the one-on-one? What do you look for? But more importantly, if someone's watching this and like, oh, I'd really like to work with Sue, I wonder what I should do. Like, what do those processes look like with you?
Yeah, it's funny.
That's a big answer. Sorry about
that. I've often been called a Swiss Army knife. And
Yep.
After doing this for 23 years, like there's probably not a whole lot in business I can't help somebody with, except for maybe Facebook ads. I'd probably refer you to somebody better than me. But nonetheless, I digress. It's an interesting thing. And actually, I just had someone ask me this almost the same question on my social media. I posted that I've got a masterclass coming up myself. And she was asking about, like, how do I work with you? And it's like, okay, that's a good one, because like some people love groups and they like the interchange and the connection. And obviously a group is the right answer for them. Other people like the one-on-one and it's all about me. And I'm kind of that girl too, although I've done both, obviously.
Yep.
But it's, when I work with someone one-on-one, the difference is the group is content with some group coaching, lots of Q&A, whatever. I have office hours. We have our coaching lounge that they can continue to come to even after the intensive is over. But in the one-on-one work, you're kind of getting my kind of DNA or thumbprint on it, like quite literally the whole decision in the sense of what should the topic be, what should be the content. And then, you get the same bulk training, but it's really then you get a chance to go and what I call dress rehearsals. So when I work with clients one-on-one, we'll teach them the opening sequence, and then they'll go do it and send me the Zoom link, and I'll watch it, and then we'll go through it almost like line by line. Like I did that with Debbie actually. And, we spent 10 minutes just on her introduction, how she introduced herself in the masterclass, working through the nuances and creating the right story. And so that's the difference with one-on-one work. It is intensive, but it's a longer process, and it's really having that consultant not just give you the information, but then have you implement it and then get the feedback on it so that you can layer it up higher and higher. And that's really the difference. Because we can train and we can get information, and then we get to go play with it, and whether we succeed or not, our results will tell us. But when someone works with me, they get the feedback from me, and so I think I shorten their path substantially, because we hear things and we can apply it, but sometimes we misinterpret it. So this way they get the feedback, and that creates a faster path in a way for them to actually get the results that they want. And then the fun thing is at the very end of them doing their first live masterclass, I'll help them market it. They'll, send me their Facebook posts and their stories, because when we market, I'm digressing a little bit here, but when we market a masterclass on social media, every post isn't come by, or come join us. It's not that. It's like telling a story. We want to take the audience on a story path so that they see us as that authority that they want to join on that path with us. But anyway, so I help people, like, they write their content and I'll look at it and I'll give them ideas and pointers. So I'm really hands-on one-on-one when I work with clients. I think that it's an opportunity for them to really get a higher quality product at the end. They go live with it and I go watch it, and then I give them more feedback at the end. So it really becomes a body of work that they can repeat and rinse and repeat and do. Whereas the intensive is, if you like a group environment and the beauty of it, it's done fast, quite literally in 7 days, 7 sessions. I should call it that way because it's like Monday to Friday days, but in 7 sessions, you can get the training, you get the guidance, you go create it, you follow my 2-week marketing cycle, and quite literally you could be, launching a masterclass within a few weeks and getting it done. So if you want to get it done fast, the intensive plan is the quickest, least expensive method of doing it. A little less hands-on from me though, but nonetheless, you can get off on it really quickly.
Well, and either way, they're getting your brain, which is, really
totally.
the sauce on that piece. And sometimes these intensives in the groups, actually, I really, really enjoy too, because meeting other business owners, going through that creative process with them, that helps me sometimes too. So I really enjoy that. And either way, someone's going to get the same end result, but working with you one-on-one, it's not that they're going to get a better result. The way that you phrased it, it's just going to be 5 levels better than the first intensive. And I just threw out a random number there. You're getting all the same thing, but either way, we're going to be testing and testing and testing. If you talk about like the intro, for example, the fact that you're going line by line for an intro, a lot of people will be like, oh, I can introduce myself, I'm just perfect with that, right? And the fact of going, no, actually, this is incorrect, and here's why. And if you introduce yourself incorrectly like this, you're going to immediately disconnect from people right off the bat. And I think that's some of those key things that you teach people, whether it's a one-on-one or the intensive. Like I said, that translates right over to social media. That just you be able to speak about who you are and where you are in any situation. That's why I think it's so extremely powerful of what you actually teach people. It really is a marketing and sales technique all put into one. And as an example, AI is exploding right now over the past 6 months. Right? Now, to me, AI is very soulless.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there where I'm seeing ads, I'm seeing marketing, I'm seeing things, it's all done through AI, and going, someone coming to you to learn this skill, it's going to be so much easier to stand out as so many businesses pivot to AI, because it's going to be very soulless, it's going to be very robotic, it's going to be very generic, to where humanity is going to really shine through. And if you have the ability to do that, you're one of the best people to come to learn how to do that. You're going to be immediately elevated with that. And I think that's one of the things too about doing a conversion event like you teach people is, hey, you're going live. Hey, this isn't a recorded webinar that's scripted out perfectly and all this type of stuff. The event is scripted out perfectly, but you're seeing the real person in action. That's where a lot of people make decisions. It's not about the product. It's not about the business. It's about the person. And that's going to be the biggest change over the next 12 to 24 months with the space, and jumping in to learn from you now. So you have that head start as other businesses start to dwindle down, that you're already in place. That is going to put you in such an amazing position to win long-term over the next 5 to 10 years. It's almost unquantifiable to me.
Yeah, this AI stuff. I mean, I saw someone who was, they'd created an app. So you answered some questions and it created the whole script and the PowerPoint and everything. Like it was an AI generated webinar. And I'm like going, I don't know, maybe I'm just too much of a control freak, but I want it to come from me. That's the important piece of it. Like that's how I feel about it. But yeah, I mean, and then some of these AIs, it's not even a real person. It's a holographic person presenting. It's like, holy cow, that's just like crazy where we're heading.
It's going to be easier and easier for us to stand out. I believe like AI, it's going to be really beneficial for a lot of things in business. I've got no doubts about that. I'm not crapping on that, but people are going to try to get it to solve one of their biggest problems. And that biggest problem is what you're teaching people. And the people that do learn from you how to solve this problem now, wow, it's going to, in 12 months, when people are looking around like, oh my gosh, this is the only real person out there. And they're going to be just flocking towards you. Like, what a way of being a magnet, right? Like that
I guess
really,
what we should do, I just thought a really funny thing, get a knife, cut ourselves. I'm bleeding. I'm real.
I'm real. Yeah. I mean, it's almost to that point, right? Like it is really scary.
And it's getting
stuff like that.
AI's improving. It's like, is it real or is it Memorex? Remember those commercials?
Yep.
Yeah, is it real or is it Memorex? Maybe we won't know in the future. I don't know. That's like, whoa, too far out there for me to
But the secret sauce is still your brain, your experience, and to be able to work with that person, right? Like again, AI is a tool. It's the artist that crafts the artwork, right? Like if you have a brush, that's how you paint the artwork, right? AI is the brush, that's fine, but it's your brain, and you teaching people how to really maximize these type of conversion events. Again, it's going to transform their business really quickly. Be able to do that like just in a 90-minute or less period once a month, but then also building all the pieces for the social media aspect, to where now all the stress of that is off their business. And now you've got money coming in that way. You've got money coming in organically. Now, if you're really focused on running ads, you've got the money to be able to do that. You're not in a spot like, oh my gosh, everything's shut down, or I ran out of money, and all of a sudden your business fails. And so you're really putting people in the best position to win. It's a skill you need. And a lot of business owners or coaches out there, they're really good at coaching. They're not really good at the marketing. They're not really good at the presenting. They're not really good at sales. So they're trying to learn it. Again, I think the number one skill that someone should go for is learning something like this, because you are kind of teaching that marketing, how to speak, how to present, how to do sales, and not obviously like a sales, but it's part of the process. And that eases up so much to get them to be in a place of stand on power and become, I think, one of the most successful places to be. So I know that you've got some events coming up here shortly.
Yeah.
Tell me about those and what's going on.
Yeah, I'm doing a masterclass. I got to look at my calendar on August the 3rd, which is Thursday. That's really quick.
Yeah, that's very quick.
Yeah, it is. And it's an exciting one. It's cracking the code, the conversion code. So, that's the whole piece, is doing a masterclass is simple, but how do we actually do one that converts? So that's what I'm going to be talking about on Thursday, and giving really, I talked about having the right content that's in alignment with your offer. We're going to dive deep into that and exactly how to figure that out. So that's what's coming up on Thursday. And then after that is I'm launching a new program. Is my intensive program, my revenue injection intensive. And it is really, I mean, I called it that rather than masterclass intensive, because really it is a revenue injection. Anytime you do an event, a conversion event, it is meant to give you immediate cash flow fast. And fast, I guess, is a relative word, but once you have to promote it, but once you get people on it, it's done in a day, basically. So nonetheless, my
Well, this is
intensive,
technically your 3.0 version of your intensive, right?
well, this is, yeah, that's true. Thanks for pointing that out, because I have done this group program lots in the past, but this is the first time I'm doing it in this format. And so, we talk about how the world changes and how we evolve. I work with clients and I see their results, and it's always an evolution of adding new things into it. So yeah, I've actually upgraded and changed some of the opening sequence to modernize it. I find that there's the trends in business are always happening. And I've noticed there's some new trends in doing your master classes or webinars. And so we'll be implementing some of those as well in it. And particularly how to make that offer. I did a rant post about that last week that just I just had to call it out. Yeah, I'm not a fan of doing 18,000 testimonial slides in a row. To me, that doesn't sell. I think that you can craft way more interest in your product and services by telling stories in your content that sell. Your content actually should do the heavy lifting, so that when you get to make the offer, you've already sold the audience without them even knowing it.
Agreed.
But anyways, I digress there. But yeah, the intensive is really cool. It's fast. It's like really quick. It's quite literally 7 business days. And then there's a coaching lounge that goes on for a couple months after that. So you get continual office hour support from me. The idea is quite literally, if you join us, I mean, that's coming up on August the 14th. If you join us, you probably could be launching your masterclass right after Labor Day, which is great if you've got a fall program or a course, or it just want
Perfect
to
launch
collect the
time.
revenue.
Yep,
Perfect
yep,
time to do
yep.
it. So that's the
awesome.
goal, is get in, out and get it done. And you still have support, and you still get me one-on-one. I
awesome.
mentioned that I can't do something that doesn't have me in it.
Well, and it's been a privilege getting to know you over the past year, and truly calling you a friend. You coaching me coaching you, us helping each other out in our businesses, on our own journeys. How much I've learned from you is truly amazing.
Thanks.
Hopefully you've learned a lot from me as well.
Totally.
Everybody that jumps in and does this, I know that they're going to be setting up the rest of their year to be extremely successful, and really setting up 2024 for a totally different business, and really seeing it elevated. I mean, it's crazy when I see some of your clients' results of,
Oh yeah,
literally 5-6 times their revenue, like on a monthly basis, by doing that, right? And you think about what that can do for a business. Somebody that's making 5K a month, you go to 25K a month. Someone's making 15K a month,
yeah.
you're going up to 70K a month. I mean, it's life-changing
Yeah,
process.
we didn't talk about numbers, but like most of my clients that I've worked with in the past, their conversions have been around 5 to maybe 10%. And the majority of them finish off at 30 to 40%. So when we think about that, that's a 300+% increase in conversions on your masterclass, which also means a 300+% increase in revenue. Like that is life-changing for a lot.
Now, a couple of the other testimonials that I've seen of yours, of some of your students, when they've done those for you, is, hey, I was doing these like every 3 months because I dreaded them. They weren't always successful, and I hated that feeling. Oh my gosh, I do one a month now. So not only is my conversion go up to 40% from 10%, but now I'm doing it every month, keeping that conversion rate, where I was doing only 4 a year. Now I'm doing 12 a year. Like, that's a game changer for a business. I mean, it really, it truly is. If you can, I mean, you're allowing people to double and triple their business.
Yeah.
Very, very fast.
Yeah, it is a rinse and repeat tool, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, we talked about earlier about, streamlining our business so that we're not running after every shiny penny and squirrel we see. It's like go all in on one thing, leverage it up and upgrade it as you go. But yeah, it is not meant to be a one-time event. I want to attract people who are looking at a different strategy that they can implement or improve if they're currently doing it to improve, that they're going to go all in and do it. Like that's really the beauty of it. Whether, at the outset, if you do like one every quarter because you're doing it in sequence to maybe launching a group program, a 90-day program every quarter,
Yeah.
that's fine. But ultimately you want to rinse and repeat it for sure.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
So, well, it's been a pleasure chatting with you today, Sue.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and we'll be in touch over the next couple of days, and
Yeah.
I can't wait to see how everything goes on Thursday and where things go. So we'll be in touch soon. And again, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, it's great seeing you, and I love hanging out with you.
I know we always have some of the best conversations.
We do.
It's amazing. So I appreciate you very much.
Thanks.